Hey, yo, everyone, Andrew here, bringing you another video review, and today we're going to be doing Superman, issue number 1. Take a look at this comic cover right here. Now, with everyone excited for what's going on with Grant Morrison Action Comics and his take on Superman, I'm a little bit more interested on what's happening with Superman in his own comic. See, with this DC relaunch, we have a lot of good stuff that's happening. A lot of stuff that I have been vocal about that I've said is good. But at the same time, I've been very vocal about the things that I've been upset about, too. And of those things is the changes that they've made to Superman. I'm not talking about the costume. I'm not talking about the take on him in Action Comics or how he's going to be a little bit more of a loner. No, one of the things that I'm most annoyed about and most weary about is the fact that DC is dissolving the marriage between Lois and Clark. Now, in my opinion, Lois and Clark had one of the best comic book relationships out there. There was great balance between the two, great compromise, and a lot of people that are in relationships could really relate with those characters. And they've been married for a long time. I believe they got married in 1994. It was after the Return of Superman story arc. So, as you guys can see, I'm not only very weary about this, but I'm also very upset. Was this the right choice to dissolve their marriage, to do a different take on their relationship, to approach it differently? Well, you're just going to have to wait and see. With that said, let's get into issue number 1 of Superman. The issue starts off with a big party, and this party is to commemorate the downfall of the old Daily Planet and the rise of the new Daily Planet. In this, they talk about how all these changes are going to be happening to the Daily Planet. It's not only going to be a newspaper, which is still going to be a newspaper, but it's going to be more digital. It's going to be more about website stuff and blogging and all this other media stuff, other than just newspaper. Which is kind of good because if you think about it, unfortunately, newspapers are kind of becoming a thing of the past. So they're talking about how all these things are changing and there's a new era for the Daily Planet. Lois gets a humongous promotion. But Clark isn't there. Why? Well, Clark doesn't like who is buying the Daily Planet and who Lois's new boss is and what's exactly going on between those two. He feels as though not only has the Daily Planet sold out, but Lois has also sold out too. So Clark kind of buggers off and he does his own thing, flying around as Superman, kind of getting a breath of fresh air. While this is going on, Clark getting a breath of fresh air as Superman in the Daily Planet's new grand opening party, a big giant fire monster show up. And this fire monster is blowing things up. And Superman just happens to be there when he blows up a truck that Superman was holding above his head, trying to stop criminals. So Superman obviously gets into a fight with this monster, and the two basically go toe-to-toe. But the interesting thing about this monster is he's not lighting things on fire, he's turning things into fire. For example, Superman will hold up a billboard to try to block the flames from hitting Jimmy Olsen. The billboard itself doesn't catch on fire, it becomes fire. So the question is this: can Superman defeat an opponent that is basically creating fire? Or will the Man of Steel lose and Metropolis be in dire danger? You're just going to have to read and see. Let's get into the good, the bad, and whether or not you should get it. Good. Well, let me just establish right here, right now, so there's no confusion. I don't like the fact that Clark and Lois are not married. I like relationships. I like couples in comics. I'm in a relationship myself, so I often try to identify myself with that stuff, that aspect of storytelling. So I'm not happy that they're not married. However, what I can say is this, is that they're at least taking a unique change and take on their relationship. The two kind of bickering, but they do have kind of that little spark for each other. Maybe Clark a little bit more than Lois. It was fun to read. I would rather have been married, but the writing was good when it comes down to that. The interaction between the two. I don't mind the Superman being a loner. I don't mind him feeling like he's an outsider to the aliens. at being an alien. See, a lot of people are worried because Superman stands for truth, justice, in the American way, and if he feels like a loner being an alien, how can he do that? Well, Superman still stands for truth, justice, in the American way. It's not like everyone's looking at him, flipping him off, and being like, hey, we don't want you here. Go away. Go away. No, he still inspires people. People still look up to him. He just feels like he's a loner. So I'm kind of okay with that take. As long as he still stands for truth, justice, in the American way, I'm cool with it. Because, it's a unique, interesting take on Superman, and hey, it livened things up. The fight scenes in this are good. I like the creature. It's a kind of cool creature with a cool power. And it sets up stuff later on in the Superman story arc that is going on right now. Seeing that we're in issue 1. I also like Clark's kind of defiance of what's happening to the Daily Planet. He kind of feels as though he's sticking by his values. He's being very valorous and courageous to go against what's going on, this evil media corporation takeover, because he sees this new boss, whose name escapes me right now, as being greedy and being selfish and doing things for the wrong way. And he even sees Lois starting to get corrupted by this. And in turn to that, I also like the fact that they're doing a new take on the Daily Planet. That it's still newspaper, but it's going to try to be updated more with the times. Which is, let's be honest, something that needed to be done because, the Daily Planet newspapers aren't really that relevant as much as they were 10 years ago, 20 years ago. Things are getting more digital. Things are getting more updated. People go to the computer first for news rather than their newspaper. So I kind of like that too. Bad. Well, the first bad is there's a lot of talking. It takes a while before this comic actually gets going. When it gets going, it's good, but it takes some time to get going. After the first 7 pages, you start to be like, okay, finally we're getting this story rolling. It's not bad talking, and it's not bad setup, it's just a lot of it. In addition to that, we're introduced to a few new characters that I know nothing about. They weren't bad introductions, but it could have been a little bit better. I'm just like, who is this person? He's the boss? What is he doing here? Lois is in this position? Who has her old job? This person has his old job? Is it Clark? It's just, really, I want to know exactly the position of the characters, too, as well as knowing these new characters. I'm kind of confused. Exactly, is Perry White still in charge of the Daily Planet, and Lois is just his, subordinate, second in command, and the guy owns the Daily Planet? I was a little lost by that. In addition to that, the worst thing that could ever happen in any #1 for the new relaunch happened. An alien shows up with a horn in the Himalayas, and there's a little asterisk that says, read Stormwatch issue #1. No, I do not want to read Stormwatch issue #1 to enjoy Superman. Actually, I kind of want to pick up Stormwatch for Stormwatch, but I don't want to pick it up for Superman. I want to be able to read this story and have it be on its own. So that was a little bothersome. Whether or not you should get it. Well, you know what? This actually surprised me. This was better than what I thought. And I have to say I enjoyed it a little bit more than Action Comics. But I'm going to be in the minority when it comes down to that. Is this a perfect issue? No. If I had to give it a rating, and I've been doing this a lot lately, and I don't like giving ratings, I give it a solid 3.5 out of 5 stars. It's a good comic, but it does have its faults. Will Superman fans be upset about this? I think some will, but mostly the ones that still feel as though they have this attachment to Lois and Clark being together in a marriage. My take on this is this. They're probably readdressing the marriage, they're readdressing the relationship, and eventually Lois and Clark will be together again, but it's going to take some time. Maybe that's just a theory on my half, but it looks like that's what DC Comics is doing. If you can get past the fact that they're not married anymore, I think a lot of people will enjoy this. It's a good issue. Is it the best #1 I've read so far in the relaunch? No. When it comes down to the Superman comics that I've read thus far, I think I might have enjoyed this the most, although pound for pound Action Comics might be the best, but I think I still enjoyed this most. Does that make sense? I think people will think Action Comics is a better comic, but I did enjoy this more. But like I said, it's a good comic. If you're weary about it, give it at least a chance to see where it goes. That said, this is Andrew saying, peace out for now.